I wipe my asshole until the toilet paper turns red. That's how I know it's clean.
Maxima this week, 90s game on fleek. It's not quite a one-hit wonder. What the hell, let's do a Nissan Maxima is here forevermore.
1999 Nissan Maxima A32, and it's back to the 90s again. Yes. Oh, my taint. The 99 Nissan Maxima is the save point of cars. When you inevitably total that Stingray you saved up for so long to buy, it's right back to the Maxima without the satellite radio or the Napa leather seats or the 4G Wi-Fi. It's back to depressing work commutes, listening to DJ Double Lunch and the Morning Misfits on Douche 107. It's the heartbreaking feeling that Toyota felt when their hybrid crapped out in the last 5 minutes of that Le Mans. This is a four-door executive car. It's a four-door mid-size car. It's not cheap. The Nissan Maxima, when it came out, what was this, like $30,000? Adjusted for inflation, I don't care. Anyway, it has the 3-liter V6 engine, and it was the only option we got. It was the only option Americans got for this car. There's a bunch of trim levels, but there's only one engine. This gets somewhere in the ballpark of 189 horsepower, maybe 200. We'll get to this engine later. There's more to talk about. This car is unique. It's a Nissan Maxima that's manual. There's not too many of these. Most of them had the slush box. This one has a 5-speed, although the Synchros are starting to fail because the original owner was rough on this car. You see, the original owner was a school principal with an SUV that was falling apart. She wanted something new, so she traded in this SUV, I'm not sure what it was, and she bought herself a Nissan Maxima. But when you're in education, it's hard not to take your day out on everything around you. This V6, 3-liter, overhead cam, and with a manual, this engine comes alive. Normally, with the slush box, this car would have been something just for highway pulls and nothing else. It would be a car for passing people on the turnpike, but with a manual Maxima. This thing gets to 60 miles an hour in 6.6 seconds, does a quarter mile in 15.2 seconds at 92.4 miles an hour, and the top speed is 142 miles per hour. This, the 4th generation Nissan Maxima, was the fastest Japanese 4-door car you could buy in America at the time. The engine is designated VQ30DE. It's an aluminum block, and it's the same motor used in the Infiniti i30. There was a VQ30DE TT, and that's the twin-turbo engine. America never got it. In fact, no one got it. Only Japan, and only Nissan Race Prep Japan Skyline GTR for the Japan race in Japan. You can say, if you really want to stretch it, oh, the Nissan Maxima had the Skyline engine. It's just naturally aspirated. But we only care about this stuff now. When the Nissan Maxima was new, it was for the man who just got promoted and he's got a cropped buzz cut like Michael Douglas in Falling Down. The kind of man who teeth gnashed his way to where he is today. Iron Will. And he's got the fastest sedan from the East. Oh, and his key. Yes, his key has a chip in it. No one's gonna steal my Nissan Maxima. Oh my God, yes. Chip in the key. I'm gonna park this car in Trenton. This is the mountains pee hole. But the Nissan Maxima is what you see in the dictionary next to the word sedan, with its puffy curves and an interior experience that's as plastic and unsatisfying as government cheese. But back in the 90s, you didn't really get a Maxima for its appearance. You got it for the drive. You got it for that highway pull. It's like Jekyll and Hyde. Sporty, but civilian. There's a monster of form hidden beneath its pedestrian appearance to where it's almost a forgotten car. AIDS, 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 syphilis, AIDS, AIDS, AIDS. This generation of Maxima, sure, the name still endures, and A later generation had those Euro-style taillights. They're clear. Look at us with a mixtape. But the 4th gen Maxima is a car that's under the radar, and there are reasons for that. It exists by default. The Maxima's biggest competitor in the 90s, in its heyday, in the beginning of the 90s, now we're kind of talking about the previous generation of this, was the Toyota Cressida, a car which at its peak sold 45,286 units in a single year. It never really saw that peak of a magnitude again after 1985, so Toyota discontinued the Cressida in order to push the newborn Avalon into the market. I know we're getting away from the Maxima, but it's important to know this.
All these things poop.
The Avalon was like a bubble tape version of the Camry, stretched out to sedan proportions. By all rights, it probably should have been a Maxima killer, but the Maxima persisted as a more modest alternative to the Avalon at the time. It also provided a sportier feel than the Avalon, which delivered a reliable drive, but not much more. But again, we're talking about the automatic, not the manual. After all, the Maxima was only one of a handful of sports sedans built outside Europe at the time. You have to understand, in the late 90s, the Maxima it stood alone. What did Ford had? Yes, Ford had the SHO Taurus, even the one of the model, the bubbler one that no one really cares about. Yes, I know it had a V8 and everything, but the people who bought Taurus shows were the people who were causing trouble, and the people who bought Maximas were the people who were bailing out the people who had Tauruses. Chevrolet had nothing. Yeah, I guess they had the B-body Caprices. Yes, you had the Roadmaster with the LT motor, but you didn't have anything as prolific as the Maxima. You could say the Maxima is the best sedan that won't impress you in the least. It's a sedan you buy when you really want an SUV because you're an adult now and you have to have things to lug around, and it's not just friends like Bradley. You know, the guy you take with you to every UFC because the only friend you have who watches, and he pre-games on flavorless swill like hams. But he forgets to leak before he leaves the house, so you know what I mean, man, gonna make a stop, and you're at a Unimart, and he has to take a thunderous piss. Nissan Maxima, sponsored by a girlfriend who shoves her hands in pockets to conceal her marital status to thirsty creepers. A Schrodinger's bang buddy that both is and isn't married until that left hand leaves her pocket. Sure, you could probably find something sportier in this general warehouse than a Nissan Maxima, but the Maxima endures because it's more than just a sporty sedan. It's dependable. It outlasts your worst relationship, your favorite band, and youthful poverty. You could drive something faster, sure, and that will be fun at first, but it gets old quicker than the parlor trick lesbianism of drunk girls at a party. And when you come down from that high, you want something you can depend on, at least until the next dream car. And when you trash that one, the Nissan Maxima save file will still be here, ready to be booted up.
I can see them. They can't see me yet. Let's keep it that way.
So drive me on the trace of the 90s. I make roughly 190 or 200 at best. As sedans go, you could do worse, but